Okay, next step is to cut these two Woodruff Keyways. We've got one there and we've got one there. So searching through my box of Woodruff Keyway cutters, we happen to have the right one for that Keyway, and for this Keyway here we've got one that's the right diameter but the wrong width. It's just a little bit, the cutter's a bit skinnier than the actual Keyway. Now it's not that the Keyway is worn, it's just a different width Keyway. So all that means is once we have our shaft set up on centre, it's just a matter of stepping up and down either side of centre a few thou, and we'll just get around it that way. Now this will be a good one to set up in the indexing head. You could hold that in a chuck or a collet in the indexing head and use the centre on the other end. Well, this doesn't have a centre in, but our new one does. That would be the easy way. But that's a lot of mucking around setting that up just to do two Keyways. Well, if I had a smaller indexing head, which is, I do have to buy rather than that big one all the time, that's what I would use. If I had a collet block, I'd use that, but I don't. So what I think I'm going to do is set this up. We'll see how it goes setting it up either on a V block or in a vise, and also using a tailstock for support. So I'll do it that way. Probably a V block. So this is going to be our setup. Now because we have a step in the diameter here, we need to put 7 thou worth of shims down either side of the V on this part of the shaft. So when we clamp down it doesn't flex the shaft down. So what I have is some shim stock. So we're going to be using a piece of 3 thou and a piece of 4 thou together, and that will make our 7 thou. So after I cut the shims, I just cut them with a pair of scissors. What I will do, put them on a steel block, and I'll just tap around the edges with a hammer. That just ensures there's no raised sharp edges which are going to mark our parts. Now I don't have any. I have probably got some brass shim, that would probably be better, but this was right in front of me, so I grabbed this. And remember, our shaft is quite hard as well. It's not mild steel, so it's not going to mark as easy as if it was just ordinary soft steel. Okay, I'll bring you around and show you how we set these up. Okay, so measuring each one so we don't mix them up. So we've got a 3 thou and a 3 thou and our 2 4 thou shims. Okay, so we'll take one of each. And we slip it down the side of the V block there. Okay. We'll put our aluminium shim under the top. As well. Okay. That's where we need to be. I might just come down one notch on this clamp. Okay. It's all feeling good. Just sort of eyeball it in. Something like that. give it a light nip down. Okay, we could indicate this in. Actually eyeballing it in is good enough. We're only going to plunge in, but we will just indicate it in just because we can. Well, we want to do it right, so as long as we're within a couple of thou, we're fine. No, that'll be right. Our indicator's hitting one of our 1, 2, 3 blocks. That's all right. We just come round, come back it out a bit. Okay, where were we? Start again. This way. Okay, that's where it needs to be. Okay, we're looking good there. So we'll get our cutter set up and on centre. Okay, we've got our cutter set up. So we've got to make sure our keyway is the correct distance from the end of the shaft. And on a little one like this, there's a very easy way to do it. Just slip the shaft over the cutter. We'll just bring our table up a tad, bring our table across. It'll be something like that. So our cutter has centralised the keyway, so it's just a matter of moving the table of the mill till about the ends of our shafts line up. Tad more. And that's it, we're in the correct location as far as length goes. So now, we'll just bring it across the top of the part. We'll come up with the table, and I'll go and get a cigarette paper so we can just touch off on the top of the shaft. Then we'll come up half the width of the cutter plus half of the diameter of the shaft, and that will put us on centre. Okay, before we start cutting our keyways, the Woodruff Keyseats, there's a bit of information that we need to know, and we can get that off our cutters. This particular one is written on the side of the cutter. This is Pratt & Whitney number 606. So basically that's all we need is that number. This one here is a Regal Belo. It doesn't give you that number. So we have to reference it by the dimensions of the cutter. It does, however, give you that 5/8 by 1/8. So if we swing over to the old McHenry's handbook, so the number 405, or those dimensions of that, oh, come on camera, focus. Okay, don't focus, be like that. These dimensions here cross over to a number 405 cutter. So that's what we've figured out. This cutter here is a number 405. So what we do then is we flip pages, and it gives us our key seat dimensions here. So we can look up the number 606, which is that one there, and it gives us the depth required in column B, 214 thou, so 214 3/10. Now that's after we touch off and we are contacting on the full width of the cutter, same as a normal feather key or wood, a normal square key, and same like for the other one, same deal. The depth is 182.5 thou. So now we know where we're heading. Good old Mac Henry's handbook. We can get these cutters mounted up and get them centralised. Okay, so we'll put our cutter over the top of the shaft. We'll just slowly bring the cutter up till it grabs a piece of cigarette paper, which is there. So we can bring the cutter off the shaft, zero our knee dial, so we raise the table up 12.09 millimeters. So we go 5, 10, 11, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 09. Okay, so that puts us central. We can even do a dummy check, do a straight edge. And that's showing vertical, so we're good to go. So we'll wind the cutter in until it touches off full width. Now, on our old shaft, this keyway has been cut slightly shallower than the machinery handbook specification for this size keyway. So the machinery's handbook says 214 thou, and this keyway here, alright, is actually 206 thou. So if I go 213 thou, we're close to the machinery's handbook one, and also it allows for the oversized diameter of the shaft. So I think we'll go that way. So 213 thou, which will be 213.5 thou will be 5.42 millimeters, will be our depth of cut. Okay, that looks to be our point where we're cutting full width of the cutter. So we come in 5.42 millimeters. just losing a bit of coolant, so I'll just find a bucket to catch it. Yeah, we're just about there. This cutter's not the best, so okay, it's only got to go a little bit more, 0.42, we're there. Okay, we made it. That cutter's on its last legs. Yeah, candidate for the tool and cutter grinder when we get it up and running. Mind you, it's pretty tough material this too for a Woodruff cutter. That's a bit second hand. Okay, see if I can get a bit of an indication. Depth. .22 according to this. 5.27. I have to get a better measurement. I'll bring you back. Well, I think I'll have to try and fudge another 0.2 mil out of it. That's as far as I dare to go with that. We got there. .29, 5.3. It's a fraction shy, but it's better to pull out now than to break that cutter right on the vinegar stroke of the job, because I'm sure there'll still be enough clearance with the Keyway in to clear the top of the Keyway in the part, in the hub there. I'm just not game enough to take that any deeper. So, okay, we'll swap cutters and move on to the Keyway at the other end of the shaft. This is the old Keyway, so we'll have to get a new one, but that will tap in there. It'll be a nice tight fit in there. It's stuck. Anyway, back to the other end of our shaft. Okay, the battery's about to die on the camera, so we'll try and get this one in. We've got to go to a depth of 4.63 and we've touched off and we're on centre. This one's going rather well. That's 4 millimetres, 2.4, 0.6, 3. We're there. Okay, that's done. So I'll check the measurement of that one. And it should be spot on. That went straight and beautiful as they're supposed to. Okay, to trim up the sides of this key seat, because it's a 532 Keyway, 532nd width cutter. Oh, you fuckwit. Okay, to trim up the width of this key seat to its 532nd width, we have a 1/8 cutter, so we've just got to come up 15.5 thou and down 15.5 thou. That should put us there. Fifteen and a half the other way. My table will give a jump here because, okay, then I have to come back up. Just go, yeah. The reason why the table jumps, we're right at the top of the travel into the unworn section. That's it there. Okay, our key should be a nice fit in that. That's good. That's firm. Yep, she's in there. Okay. Well, we'll get her all pulled out of the mill and cleaned up, deburred, and this one's done.